And the suspect who might have those answers got away, and John was the only one who saw his face. So how long does he have left? Anna Torv, and I'm playing Olivia Dunham.
I'm Kirk Acevedo, and I play Charlie Francis.
I called my agent and said, what is this and how can I be part of it?
The casting director takes the script and breaks down the characters and begins to put some names together to see if it can fit the vision of the director and the producers and the writers.
Casting pilots is always really difficult because unless you are writing a pilot for an actor already in mind or an actor already attached to the idea, you have characters in your head and then you suddenly see those characters interpreted through thousands of people, and that can be overwhelming. Sometimes bringing something to your dialogue that you actually didn't even realize was there, and sometimes they massacre your dialogue, and it's a very strange thing to see both of those things happen.
The key to casting anyone is that when you see them, they own it. It's not a question of even casting, it's a question of hopefully and luckily finding the person who just claims the role.
The thing that's really amazing about our cast is that each one of them in their own way walked into the room and they were their characters.
What we were looking for in Olivia was a woman who was believable as an FBI agent but yet had some vulnerability and definitely had depth and a history behind her eyes.
Anna was the miracle of the whole thing.
We saw a lot of people for this.
We were sent an audition from Australia of Anna that she had done for another project, and she's reading for a movie, and we were immediately intrigued.
April had talked to, I think, a friend of hers down in Australia, and they had pulled Anna in from a camping trip.
I got a phone call saying, can you come in the next day?
Somebody got through to her on a phone. She came in and read our scenes over the internet.
The next day I got a call saying, you got the job, and then I flew the next day to LA for a morning and then straight to Toronto, and I'm here.
What Anna brings to the project is she comes into the world of Fringe with all of its edge and mystery, and she brings this sort of elegance and poise to it that makes you just love her and want to make sure she's okay and gets through it.
Although this is a joint task force, you are all now reporting to the Department of Homeland Security. I'm Special Agent in Charge, Broyles.
Originally had me read for Charlie, who Kirk Acevedo was playing.
Flight out of Hamburg, 147 passengers. Towers lost contact 3 hours in.
When I originally read the script, I thought, the role for me in this script is Broyles. And when I went to my original audition, the casting director came out and she said to me, you're here for Broyles, right? I said, well, no, I'm here for this other role. She said, oh, no, I thought you'd make a great Broyles. Well, you want to read for Broyles? And I said, well, yeah.
A man who serves his country for 30 years as a few drinks and a small lapse in judgment does not deserve 5 years.
A small lapse in judgment that will haunt 3 young women for the rest of their lives.
But that's not tonight's business, is it?
We read him for Broyles, and in fact he was right, because he has this quiet strength about him that without hardly doing anything, just by the look in his face, and he has such a magnificent face, conveys that authority and power.
I want you to extend the perimeter outside the tunnel another 50 yards.
We had a lot of really good people come in for Broyles, and we were talking about other people, and Lance kind of came in and shattered that pane of glass and confidence. It was just like, it has to be Lance, it's his. He's Broyles.
Interagency harmony and cooperation continues.
Who's winning?
Langley by a nose. 4 years ago, I get an audition for this TV show. So I'm like, well, what's it about? And it's like, oh, it's about this plane that crashes on an island. And I was like, I don't want to audition for Gilligan's Island. So I never went on the audition. So now when I get the audition for this one, I jumped at the opportunity.
Kirk has been this great actor moving around films. We're just lucky to have him.
I actually originally read for Peter, and they were like, no, Kirk is Charlie. So I went back in, auditioned for Charlie, and then thus Charlie Francis.
We need this place locked down!
He has a great soul and so many layers to him in any scene with Anna, and they've got a great chemistry together as sort of friends, and he gives you an emotional base to know that she's got somebody she can count on and who's going to sort of be there for her.
We saw a lot of women, almost as many in a way as we had Olivia, because she had to fulfill a very particular position, one where she wasn't the lead, but she was a very important part of the team. So you wanted someone who clearly had the intelligence, but you definitely wanted someone who had a lighter tone.
It was a Friday, and they called me about an hour before they needed me to come to the casting office in New York City.
Jessica came in and read and was immediately able to handle sort of the language and the pace. And you could also tell she was so adept at sort of immediately plugging into Walter and kind of what he needed and sort of taking care of him.
Hey, Aspirin, would you mind
watching Walter? Yeah, I'm on that too.
Now, Miss, I'm going to repeat the demonstration with the rice. Would you care to watch?
Nope.
Okay.
If you choose to drag our company and Dr. Bell's name into this matter, you will be hearing from our attorneys.
I was sent a script, and I'm not sure that the cover page was on it. And, you know, actors, if you're fortunate, get to read a lot of scripts, and I was completely taken by this script.
Unfortunately, I am not at liberty to discuss our companies, their research, or our employees. The security of our proprietary information is a very serious concern.
When she read it, she wanted to come in for it. I was very surprised. I spoke to Meg Simon, who's the casting director in New York. When I heard that Blair was on tape, I was amazed. And honestly, I didn't remember the Altered States connection until much later. She just gave the best damn read.
Growing up, I was a huge fan of Altered States, and it had really had an impact on me, and I'd seen it a bunch of times. In watching Altered States now, all these years later, as much as you remember that William Hurt was brilliant in the movie, Blair Brown's contribution to that film is enormous as like the grounded, brilliant wife, and her performance is incredible in that film.
The robotic assist tools that were used in my surgery, the drugs I took afterwards, were developed and manufactured by Massive Dynamic.
We all couldn't believe that the wife from Altered States, which is sort of the older parent to this project, was our Nina.
This phase of their choice of therapies has
It's okay. It's okay.
That's consequences.
It's okay, really.
For Walter, we were looking for somebody who could play this very large role that ranged from over-medicated madman in an asylum to a inspired genius who'd been in prison for the last 10 years and was completely out of touch, both with society and potentially reality.
We had so many different wonderful actors reading it, and some people played him very drugged out. But what John Noble did that was so fabulous is that he almost had a humor about what he had gone through, and then would go into periods where he had lost the thread. So it was an amazing read.
I think when it first came about, I was considered to be too young for it. But I said, this role I really want.
There was a tell line for me, which is the pudding line.
What is it?
It's just they serve this dreadful pudding here, butterscotch pudding on Mondays. It's horrible. It just occurred to me.
It's Thursday.
Oh, okay, well that's fabulous.
For some reason, because he had a different way of hitting it, that to me went, oh my God.
He's Dr. Frankenstein, but he's sort of Dr. Frankenstein after the movie Frankenstein is over.
One of the great benefits of having a lead character who has been established to have been clinically insane for part of his life is that you don't know exactly when you're coming in and out of his point of view. Most of the problems on the show have sprung from his mind that could be taken to an extreme conclusion.
We try to get the best actors for the part who are going to bring something special, and that's who it ends up being.
But it's ultimately incredibly rewarding when you find your people and you put them together, because you have this amazing package and you have these people who have only lived in your head who are now living in physical reality and bringing life to your characters, and there's nothing better than that.
The cast is an amazing group, and that just is a very lucky thing.